We have entered day 2 of the grand finals in the singles category in the Phoenix Festival tournament. There are 2 more exciting matches to go over today, including probably my favorite match in the entire tournament. So, with that being said, use the links in the description below to go and vote for who you think would win in each match and give your reasoning as to why. Our first match of the day is Ozpin versus Branwen in the Savannah and Desert biomes. Now, with these biomes, not really going to play much of a factor, I don't think, unless the desert biome is used by Raven to use the dust capabilities, fire dust, make glass, things like that, but I think this one is going to come down to more of a straight-up fight. Ozpin, fighting with the long memory, is a very close combat fighter, all of his years of experience to draw upon, and Raven, fighting with her Omen and all of the dust capabilities that she has. Now, Ozpin knows Raven very well. He trained her as a member of Team Stark. She was a member of Ozpin's inner circle. Like, these 2 characters know each other really well, though I wonder how much Raven knows about Ozpin's fighting style. Regardless, she would have been able to pick up quite a bit watching the previous matches in this tournament, so this would be an interesting match for a number of different reasons. Not only would they be highly skilled fighters that know each other previously, but there might also be some personal issues to work out. Maybe Ozpin has to hold a little bit of a grudge against Raven for leaving his inner circle after he was generous enough to gift some of his magic to her. Or perhaps Raven has a little bit of a grudge against Ozpin for turning her into a bird. You know, things like that. Neither of them will be using any of their magic in this fight, though, so it will be a brawl between them. But Raven, with all of the dust capabilities, this is something that I think Ozpin might struggle against a little bit. I mentioned this in yesterday's video when he fought against Maria Calavera, but in this case, I think it would show through that Ozpin may not be able to deal with all of the dust capabilities that Raven has. He fights with the long memory, and the long memory does have some other magical capabilities, but he wouldn't be using that, he wouldn't be able to manipulate time with it, things like that, so he would have to be fighting and relying on his experience, his speed, and the capabilities that he has. Raven would probably be able to keep her distance. I'm not really sure who would be the faster fighter between them. We've seen Raven fight more often than Ozpin, but in both of those fights, they've been enhanced by magic, so I think maneuverability-wise, they would be on equal footing in the number of strikes that they'd be able to deal. I think Ozpin has the smaller weapon, so he would be able to strike faster. That might lead to Ozpin being able to break Raven's blades, but if Raven can get off some of the dust blasts, either ice dust, electricity dust, if she has gravity dust, we know she does have a black blade that we saw in the fight that she had against Cinder, not to mention a blue blade, which is likely water dust, a green blade, which is likely plant dust. The red blade probably has fire dust capabilities. Like, she has the whole works when it comes to dust, so if she's able to get off some of those blasts, I think she would be able to win out against Ozpin, but if Ozpin is able to keep her blades shattered and keep her from being able to use those dust capabilities, then that could lead to his advantage as well. One thing I'd be curious about, if Ozpin is able to keep shattering Raven's blades, could she draw out a blade by itself without being attached to the hilt of her Omen and just slam it into the ground and try to use dust capabilities that way? We will need to see more of Raven's fighting style to be able to see for sure, and if she's driven into a corner. We haven't actually seen that yet when it comes to combat, so there's still a bunch of unknowns with both fighters, to be honest, but overall I do think that Raven has what it takes to be able to defeat Ozpin in this match, utilizing the dust capabilities to be able to overwhelm him. Ozpin, just fighting with his cane, I don't think has what it takes to be able to stop Raven. He would be able to attack fast enough to prevent Raven from using her Kindred Link, her portals, if she could in this match. We don't know if Raven has a link to Ozpin and would be able to create portals to him or around the battlefields, but I think Ozpin would be able to attack quick enough to prevent her from doing that, as she would need to strike in a different direction. Now, if she was able to create a portal in front of her and have Oz actually go through the portal and appear wherever else, that would be interesting, and that would give her even more of an advantage, but we haven't seen her utilize the portals in that way, so we can't really factor that in. Overall, though, I do think that Raven would take this one after a hard-fought victory, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And then we get to the second match, which is probably my favorite one in the tournament, and one, I've said this numerous times as well, if I could have one match play out on screen, this one would probably be it. I've said that a couple times already, but this one would be it. Branwen versus Maria Calavera in the Geyser and Anti-Gravity biomes. What do you guys think? Do you think that Qrow now has the capabilities to surpass his idol in her prime, the Grim Reaper, the one that he based his weapon and fighting style off of? Holy crap, I really would love to see this fight take place on screen, but for now we will have to settle for the thought experiment that is the Phoenix Festival tournament. Qrow will be fighting with his Harbinger that has multiple different forms and long-range capabilities, similar to Maria's that she has the twin comma of life and death with the gravity dust functions and has some long-range capabilities. In terms of long range, they're about equal when it comes to the bullets that they have. They seem shotgun-style functions that they use them for a similar fashion. Instead of firing long range, we have seen Qrow use that more often than not, but he doesn't really use that to deal damage. Both of them use these shots to accelerate their strikes with their psi in Qrow's case and twin commas in Maria's case to give them more of an impact when it comes to each of their strikes. Now, Maria does have a bit of an advantage long range, as she could throw either one of her commas and draw them back with the gravity dust. So that could trip Qrow up a little bit, but Qrow has quite a bit more versatility when it comes to him using his Harbinger, as it has multiple different forms, whereas Maria's life and death could only be combined together to give her the kind of long dual-ended scythe form, which would be an interesting combat to see if Maria combined them together to fight against Qrow when he extended it out into his scythe. But he could also fight with the sword form, or the Tonfa scythe mode, or even war scythe mode, though I don't think War Scythe would really be that useful, though it would give him a lot more reach on Maria, but considering she's able to throw out her commas, it wouldn't really give him that much of an advantage. In fact, it might actually put him at a disadvantage if one of the commas has ended up to get behind him. Having it extended as the War Scythe, it would just take more time to swing around, so a lot of different intricacies would take place in this battle, and honestly, again, could go either way. Maria fighting with two weapons versus Qrow and as one. We've seen how well Qrow is able to manage Tyrion and all the points of contact that he has. Tyrion fighting with the Queen's servants and his scorpion tail, as well as punching and kicking on top of that. And we did see that in Volume 4, Qrow had a pretty decent advantage over Tyrion. It was a fairly even fight, but if Team Ranger wasn't there hindering Qrow, I think Qrow would have been able to take Tyrion. And we did see that Maria Calavera was able to take on Talk, who was also a member of Salem's Inner Circle. So, if things are going to be measured by those kind of equivalents, then they would be on equal footing. And I think by this point, Qrow has a bit more experience than Maria did in her prime, but Maria was also of legendary proportions early on in life. Qrow took a little bit more time to get to legendary proportions, I think, in terms of status overall. So a lot of different things seem pretty equivalent in this fight, and I honestly have a difficult time choosing who I think would win. The biomes themselves, Geyser and Anti-Gravity, I think would probably play in Maria's favor over Qrow's. She is more accustomed to dealing with gravity dust with her twin commas, and I think she would be able to jump around the biomes a little bit easier, though we have seen Qrow, when he fought against Winter, get some pretty decent height when it comes to jumping. We know that aura strengthening and superhuman feats are definitely a thing in RWBY, especially with Qrow and his right hook, being able to strengthen the aura into his rings and be able to slam someone in the face, enough to break people's aura and also knock Tyrion for a loop, so things like that are definitely possible. Maria, with her preflexes though, we have seen her jump around in the fight against Talk a little bit faster than I think we've seen Qrow be able to jump around. Very fast-paced fight, very fast-paced fighters on both sides, but I think overall Maria might have the maneuverability advantage, and if the gravity biome does play into her favor, that might give her the advantage over Qrow, though if Maria is throwing out her commas, I think that Qrow would be able to block them, and with his Harbinger being able to switch forms, and the Tonfa Scythe mode, I think would give him a bit more of an advantage if he's able to get close and use that to block. He would be able to move it around faster than Maria might be able to with her comma, so again, it kind of leads to either which way. This could go to Qrow, this could go to Maria, but in this scenario, I do think that Qrow might be able to surpass his idol, because we can't forget that he has his misfortune working for him as well, giving Maria a bit more of bad luck. So as she's jumping around to the anti-gravity biome, she might slip up, or possibly just have Qrow land a lucky hit against her. When she's throwing out her commas, it might have a bad ricochet. Or even perhaps with the Geyser biome, there might just be an unlucky time that the geyser shoots off that knocks Maria off balance. She does have her preflexes, so she would be able to react to misfortune happening around her quicker than other opponents would, so she might be able to counteract the misfortune with her preflexes in many different ways. But I think Qrow, with the skill that he has, he's also a little bit later in life than what Maria was in her prime, so he likely does have a bit more experience on top of that. So I think Qrow might just edge out the win over Maria Calavera, but this one could go either way, and if I could have one fight, as I mentioned before, show up on screen, this would definitely be it. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on both of these fights. Which one would you love to see play out on screen out of any of the ones in the finals of the singles category? So many interesting matches, and that all of them would be amazing to see, but which ones would be your favorites? Make sure to let me know, and make sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up with everything going on in the Phoenix Festival Tournament, the theories, the analysis, Volume 8 coming up very soon, so there will be more reviews, many more theories and analyses to come. So join the Guild of the Eternal Flame, tweet me at PhoenixKnight7, join our Discord server as well, linked in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.